Hey y'all, Vanessa here. So this video is going to be a little bit different than most of the videos that I do. I don't have anybody to interview today, but I did want to share a story with you guys. So consider this like barbecue story time kind of a thing. So last week, when Aaron told me that he was going to cook for the weekend, I was like, hey, well, it's been a while since I've cooked. I want to cook this weekend too. Like it'll be fun. We'll cook against each other again. Um, y'all, I was not ready. I was not ready. And then, if you live around the Central Texas area, you know that we got hammered not only with rain, we had those crazy wind gusts. We also had the hail that came through. Granted, the hail was just a short period of time, but the weekend was gross, y'all. It was nasty. And so dealing with that on top of cooking for the first time, like all three meats since like, I don't know, last year sometime. So it was definitely quite a challenge. Let's just say it was interesting. Okay, we show up Friday, right? Because we've got to get everything set up. So we show up Friday. Mind you, we do not have a very big trailer, y'all. Like our trailer is literally, I think it's like 12 foot long or 14 foot long, but it's not very long. Okay. Now you think about this, we're both cooking all three meats. So 2 times 3, that we have 6 pits we're cooking on. Okay. And that's a lot of space that's needed and not a lot of things like for coverage. So we brought 2 canopies and we have the sides for these canopies, right, in case we need them, which like at first we're thinking we're not going to need them. We just need to get past this little rainstorm thing that's coming, then we're going to be fine. The rainstorm comes through on Friday. We're inside the trailer, so we're okay throughout this whole thing, right? The rain lets up. We go get our trays like normal. Everything's good. Everything's working out. And before we left the house, I told Aaron that all I wanted, like, I didn't care like how I did overall. I didn't really care. Like it's been a while. I knew I was rusty, right? Because I hadn't done all three meets by myself in a long time. But I was like, all I really want from the weekend is to just come home with one of those little wiener dog trophies. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about, it's the Buda Lions Club cook-off that they do every single year. And they're these cute little trophies and they're shaped like a wiener dog. And like they have them different colors sometimes, I think. I don't really know. It's my first time doing it this year, right? But this year they were blue and I saw them on Facebook and I was like, I want one of those trophies. Oh my gosh. So that was my goal for the weekend, right? I just want one. Anyways, we're there. Get everything started, starting to prep meats, getting everything going. We start cooking on Saturday morning and we get there probably about 4 o'clock because we still had to unload everything from the trailer because Friday we couldn't unload anything, right? You can't unload anything when it's raining and the windstorm's coming through and everything's muddy. And so we were just like, we'll just get here early, we'll unload everything, we'll start cooking, everything's gonna be fine. It's gonna be fine, right? No, we were not right, y'all. We were not right. So we get there Saturday and we start unloading everything and we get everything set up. We get charcoal in all the pits. I'm getting my stuff going. He's getting his stuff going, right? We can't figure out which direction the wind is coming from. Like it's coming from one direction, one gust, the next gust comes from a totally different direction. It's throwing off the way our pits are cooking, right? It's throwing off like which direction our pits need to be located so that we can maximize the air and get everything going the way we need it to, right? We had to turn one pit completely. And then you know what? About 30 minutes later, not only did we have to turn it, but we relocated the entire pit while it's cooking. This is mid-cook, y'all. This is not just like, oh, we're going to light it in about an hour so we can go ahead and just figure out where we want to put it. No. We were cooking. Like there is meat on this pit that we're having to turn and move and readjust. And once we finally got that in a place where we were like, you know what, this is going to work. So a little tiny side story in my story time. I cook on, I like to cook chicken on a Smoky Mountain. So if you guys have not seen a Smoky Mountain, they're Weber brand, and they come apart in 3 different sections, right? So you have the base, and then you have that middle section. And the cool thing about them is like they have that little door where you can like put extra wood or extra charcoal if you need to, or whatever you need to in there without having to take the whole thing apart. And then you have the lid. Okay. So I light that about 45 minutes before I start cooking, just because I want to make sure it's up to temp. The one that I have, it was a little 18-inch. So it takes a while for it to get up to temp. It really likes to cruise about 275. And I don't normally like to cook my chicken at that temperature. So anyway, I have it lit. Everything's going. And I'm like, okay, now I have to go inside and I've got to prep these chickens. Like, I've got to get these birds prepped. Aaron was like, don't worry about the pit. You already got it going. I'll monitor the temperature for you for a minute. You go work on chicken, right? I go inside and I just put on my gloves, right? I'm getting ready to start working on chicken. I get the pan ready. I've got all my stuff, my injectors. I've got everything lined up. I've got everything mapped out. So I'm in there. I have my gloves on. I'm ready to go. And as I am literally pulling injection into the injector, right? I'm like suctioning it up into the thing, right? And all of a sudden, I knew what happened without even turning around. It was like this huge gust of wind came through and I could hear it literally pop. Like I heard a pop, y'all. I don't know what this pop was, but I knew it wasn't good. And so as I put down the injector, I don't even know how I was this calm about it. I just put the injector down and I turned around. And as I'm looking out of the door, I noticed that, well, mind you, there were some bad words being said outside, which probably also aided in me knowing that something was wrong. But I turn around and I look out the door and all I see is half of one of the little canopy walls that we put up was like flowing in the breeze at this point, right? And so it's flowing in the breeze. And my chicken pit is on the floor. It's on the floor, y'all. It is literally on the floor. I cook on a Smoky Mountain Weber. So it is in 3 pieces on the ground. My charcoal's everywhere. 1 second. So I have to put my chicken on this pit in like 18 minutes. And my pit, for one, is not even put together right now. And 2, all of the coals that are ready to be cooked on are on the ground. I almost have a panic attack because like at that point, y'all, like I know we're supposed to be problem solvers and think through it, but at that point, I was like, literally all the things we've gone through today to cook already. I don't want to. I'm done. I don't want to. I'm done. I literally could have just turned around and walked away, and then I couldn't, because as I'm walking out of the door, I noticed that Aaron is trying to pull down the rest of the walls. He's like, we got to get these down. They're not working. They're just making more problems for us. So let's just get them down. And then a friend of ours, James, is coming and helping me to scoop all of the coals back into the Smoky Mountain Weber. And at that moment, I realized, okay, this is not the time for you to be a crybaby. This is definitely not the time for you to give up. So if they're going to keep pushing, you've got to keep pushing. And so that's what I did. I might have said a few choice words. I might have wanted to kick the entire pit and throw it across the entire parking lot. However, that is not what I did. Okay, didn't do it. So don't judge me. I did not do that. However, what I did instead was I helped finish getting the coals back in my pit. I told James, thank you. And honestly, there's not a lot of great people like James Brooks out there. So if you have your own version of a James Brooks, or you know James Brooks, y'all, let's really take some time to appreciate those people, because there are far and few in between people who would to help you out like that. So thank you, James, again. And Aaron, we finally got down all of the walls, right? And he was just like, "You're fine. Take a deep breath. You can do this. We're halfway through," which we weren't, but he was trying to make me feel better, and it really did work. So, Aaron, thank you also. Anyways, so get the chicken pit back together. And I'm freaking out, y'all, because at this point, I'm like, I gotta put these chickens on in like 12 minutes, and my pit is literally only running at 200 degrees. Like, it won't go any higher than 200. The gauge keeps saying 200. I don't know what to do. And I did what I thought was the best right idea. I just started cooking. So when it was time and my time ran out, I put the chickens on there, and I'm thinking, I've got to figure out something. So then I take out the water pan that's in these Smoky Mountains. And I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, but anyways, there's like a built-in water pan. So I put on my gloves, take off the rack, put it on the table. I take this water pan out and chunk it. I don't even know where it went at this point. Put the chicken back on there, close the lid, right? I'm trying to get this heat to come up, and it's staying at 200. And I don't know why it's staying at 200, but it's stuck there. Like, it's literally stuck there, will not move. Okay, that's not working. So I light a chimney, another chimney of briquettes. And once that gets done, I chunk that in there too. Just trying to figure something out. I got to get some heat. It's still at 200. Am I smothering this thing? I don't know what I'm doing. Like, something's not working, right? It's still at 200. About 45 minutes into the cook, I go and I check, and my chickens are at the temp I need them to be at that point in time. So I'm thinking, is it really at 200? And I'm freaking out trying to figure out why I can't figure this out. James once again comes over, and he's like, "What's wrong?" So Aaron and I end up telling him that, like, for some reason this pit still says 200. He goes and he touches the lid. He's like, "That don't feel like no 200." So he takes his thermopin and he just like puts it into the little top of the lid on the Smoky Mountain Weber. And about like 1 minute later, as he's holding it there, it like reaches 300 degrees. So really, my chicken was at the right temperature because it was actually cooking at a higher temperature than what the gauge said. So then finally at that moment, it's like a light bulb goes off my head, right? And I realized, so when the wind came, blew over the wall of the canopy, it knocked over my chicken pit. Well, the first thing to hit the ground was the lid on this side where the gauge was connected. So the gauge obviously got messed up, right? And I was actually cooking like a little over 300. I have no idea what the temp is of the pit anymore. I just know I have to finish my cook. So I do my very best, and I keep, like, I baby those birds. I still got everything done that I needed to with ribs and brisket, but I am babying these birds because I have no idea what temperature I'm cooking at. Like, I'm literally cooking blind at this point. I'm just cooking, might as well have been over an open fire. I mean, at this point, because I know it's over 200, but I don't know exactly where it is, right? Let me just tell y'all that for me, having not cooked since September, I think it was a pretty okay day for me. So I ended up overall with 15th place chicken. Hey, and on a chicken with this chicken pit that it fell over, we had issues with the gauge. You know what? I was taking the chicken off to take out water pans. Like, out of all the craziness that this chicken went through, I was so proud of that 15th place. I've never been so proud of a final table as I was at that moment. Okay, so super proud of that final table chicken, 15th place. And then ribs come along, and I was like, my ribs were okay today. But I mean, I tasted some of my friends' ribs who were close by, and like, you know what? To be honest, I don't know if mine were in the same ballpark as theirs were, but the ribs come around, and I ended up with 12 ribs, and I was like, hey, that's kind of cool, right? Like, there's some really big names here at this cook-off. That was pretty cool for me. And then brisket comes along, and I'm like, man, I tried their briskets close, like, not everyone's obviously at the entire cook-off, but like the 5 or 6 really awesome cooks that were cooking in close proximity to me, I tried their briskets, and they were phenomenal. And mine was very just a basic standard brisket, y'all. So I totally was not expecting anything there. I didn't even think I was going to get a final table. But they start calling brisket tickets, and y'all, that is the one ticket that I got to give up. So at the end of the day, with my mediocre brisket, I got my blue wiener dog that I wanted so badly, and it was fourth place. So, like, I don't know if you can see that, but it's fourth place, y'all. Fourth place brisket out of the crazy, insane amount of awesome cooks that there were out there. I literally could not be more thrilled. I ended up fourth overall. And you know what? For me not having cooked in so long, I think that's pretty phenomenal. I was pretty stoked. And with the big names that were out there, it literally just was a really cool feeling to know that, like, maybe this is something that I could be okay at. I don't know, right? I mean, we always have to continue learning, and I could never say I'd be great at this sport, but like maybe I could be okay at this sport. Anyways, I'm sorry to take you guys on this journey with me. Hopefully, you got at least a couple of laughs out of this because really, in retrospect, it was pretty comical. All of the things that could have gone wrong that morning literally went wrong, and it's comical now to think about it. In the moment, it was definitely not comical, and I appreciate all of our friends for being so supportive throughout that time. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. I got to once again cook my own team and realize that even Vanessa's and even back to the basis of people are somebody's in barbecue, right? Because everyone is someone in barbecue. And that obviously now includes me too. So I hope you guys enjoyed my little story time. I love y'all and I will talk to y'all soon.